There is one question remaining regarding Bill Goldberg, and that is, who's next? Bret Hart is next. Because Goldberg, despite apologising, Goldberg, despite being sympathetic about that kick that ended Bret Hart's career, still wants to kill the Hitman. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. And Bill Goldberg was not holding back during his latest appearance on the Nothing Left Unsaid podcast. Bill Goldberg discussed his match with Bret Hart from Starrcade 99 and Bret Hart's career ended injury, and he is not happy with how it's all went down since then. He went on to call Bret bitter. He said he's apologised, he's done everything he possibly could, he regrets it, he didn't want to hurt Bret, he didn't mean to hurt Bret, he didn't want to hurt anybody, it was an accident. But still to this day, Bret Hart holds it against Goldberg. He's bitter in every single fucking interview, and it's sad. It really is sad from Bret Hart. Now, I mean, look at, let's say, I mean, people have injured people before, people have broke people's necks before. Austin got his neck broke from Owen Hart, and Austin had a little bit of resentment for Owen because of the way Owen handled the situation, but you didn't see Austin coming out in interviews and bashing Owen Hart. Austin kept it to himself. He thought that Owen should have did more, should have apologised, but Austin didn't go on about it 24/7. He wasn't bitter like Bret Hart, bringing it up every single time he could. You didn't see Austin coming out and saying, Owen Hart was a shit worker. Now, is Goldberg the best worker? Absolutely not. But Bret Hart always talks about Goldberg as if he's the worst guy to ever step inside a wrestling ring, and it's just not fucking true. I mean, Goldberg isn't great, is he? No, he's a big powerhouse. He hits big, impactful moves. Is he a fantastic wrestler? I mean, no, but there's been a lot worse than Goldberg, but Bret Hart won't admit that. He just thinks Goldberg is the worst guy ever, and he thinks that Goldberg doesn't belong in any Hall of Fames. He doesn't think that Goldberg deserves any jobs. He doesn't think Goldberg deserves oxygen at this point because of one kick that he didn't mean that ended the Hitman's career. So this is what Goldberg said on the podcast. He says, quote, Bret Hart, I was a baby in the wrestling business. I was in WCW. They had a rocket in my butt, but as far as trajectory is concerned, character-wise, Bret Hart had just left WWE, and we all know Bret being one of the best wrestlers in the history of the world. I obviously was looking for as many mentors as humanly possible. This guy he was one of the best ever, and I was so enthralled with him. I didn't idolise him by any stretch, I didn't idolise anyone, but I put him up on that pedestal as to be someone to very much learn from. They put us together, and I did learn a lot from the guy. I wouldn't trade that for the world. Then we had a match, and unfortunately during the match something went wrong. I kicked him in the head, it was very stiff, and it was an accident. I never maliciously would try to hurt anyone. Well, let me rephrase that. I would never hurt anyone in a situation like that where they give me their trust, because wrestling is like a dance. You can't perform properly if both people aren't doing their thing, and I didn't do the right thing. He caught it in the head and it ended his career. I've never lived it down. I'm not a malicious person. I would never take advantage of anybody, especially in a physical sense like that. So it was a complete accident, but to this day he thought, or he thinks, that I did it either on purpose or I was so horrible at what I did that it just happened. So that's the Bret Hart story. I've heard it for 15 years, and I've heard about him bitching and moaning about me kicking him on the head. I can only say sorry so many times, and I can only be remorseful for so long. So that's where we are on that. I still want to kill him though. End of quotes. So that's Goldberg's opinions on Bret there. He's pissed off a lot of wrestling fans with his comments on Asuka. I'm sure this will piss off even more wrestling fans with his comments on Bret Hart. But what more can Goldberg do? He said he regrets it. He says he didn't mean it. He says he's never lived it down. It hurt him. He's apologised. He's done pretty much everything he could. The only thing he hasn't done is erase the move. He hasn't rewinded time and, not done the kick, but he can't do that. That's not possible unless he finds a time machine. So the only other thing that Goldberg could do would be to possibly pay Bret Hart for a loss of earnings, but that's never happened before from one wrestler to another in the wrestling business. I mean, maybe that's happened in companies where a company might pay somebody, but in terms of a wrestler for paying somebody because they're missing work or they had to retire early. I mean, that's never happened. Maybe that's what he wants. I think that Bret did talk about Goldberg coming back, getting WrestleMania matches in WWE, and he didn't see 1 cent of it. But I mean, realistically, I don't think Goldberg's entitled to do that. I really don't. Would it be a nice thing for Goldberg to do? Absolutely. But I think that would be Bill Goldberg going above and beyond. I don't think Bret is really entitled to that money. It was an accident. You know, it was an accident. Like when Owen Hart dropped Austin on his head, it was an accident. Even though Owen said he wasn't going to do that move and he technically lied, it was still an accident. Did Owen Hart pay Austin for like 6 months while he was out injured with his neck? No, he didn't. Did Owen Hart give his hard-earned money to Stone Cold? No, he didn't. Can we honestly sit here and expect Bill Goldberg to pay Bret Hart because of an injury? I don't think so. I don't see it that way. I don't think his career had that long left anyway, to be honest. So, yeah, no, for me, Bill Goldberg, he's apologised. He's done everything he could. Bret's really bitter over it. Is Goldberg the best wrestler ever? No, but, you know, it was one accident. It was one kick. It's a kick that, if it happened another, 1,000 times, it would probably just be laughed off back in the locker room, and they'd be like, oh, you caught me stiff there. I'm going to give you a receipt. But it just so happened this one kick, as tragic as it was, ended Bret Hart's career pretty much. So yeah, it sucks. It's not fair, but Goldberg's not a bastard for this. He's not. It was just an accident. And I've seen images with Goldberg and Bret posing with each other. It's like Bret's a weird guy. You think that he's buried the hatchet. Same with like Michaels and Triple H. You thought he buried the hatchet with those guys, but especially Triple H, he's always coming out. He's still burying Hunter. He still buries Goldberg to this day. I think Bret Hart, I don't think he's trustworthy. I think he would stab you in the back. I think he's a bit two-faced, that he pretends that these beefs are over, but then when it comes to an interview and an opportunity for him to bash someone, to, get his opinion out, to get in the limelight, to try and make a bit of money, then all of a sudden he's taking back what he said about putting it behind him, and he's bringing up all these stories and bringing up the past. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Bret. I do think he's so fucking bitter. One of the most bitter guys ever in wrestling. Probably the most bitter guy in wrestling. Outside of, Ryback's up there, to be honest. Ryback's fucking right up there when it comes to WWE, McMahon and Triple H and Cena. So who knows? But yeah, bitter Bret once again. Once again, he's getting the attention here, but it's actually not him telling the story. It's Bill Goldberg. So I actually agree with Bill Goldberg. I don't think Goldberg can do any more. He's apologised. He said he's sorry. He regrets it. He can't change the past, and Bret probably needs to move on. So let me know what you think down below. But yeah, Bill Goldberg pissing off the fans twice now in the space of 48 hours. Till next time, peace.